Here is our second work of art by Vermeer and our last work of art that we're going to be looking at for Vermeer. This is called Woman Holding a Balance. Well, it's very descriptive. We have a young woman, very finely dressed. She's wearing a blue overcoat with a white fur trim. Now, if you remember, according to sumptuary laws, only people of a certain class could have fur. Okay, so she's of a higher class. We see the same corner with that same window and that same table. These are the same props that we saw in the last artwork. We have a young woman who is possibly pregnant. I have it as a question mark because dresses at the time would often be very full in the skirt because fabric is crazy expensive. And so you would have these big full skirt dresses and they could often create a silhouette of a belly, but we can't negate the fact that she also might be pregnant. And that might be something that we need to consider for this message. And this young woman here, she's pulled out her jewelry box. And what's she doing? She's weighing. She's using a scale. So she has her weights and she's balancing out some of her precious jewels, her pearls. People only do that if they're trying to find the value of something, right? How much is this worth? So she's looking at her jewelry, not for their beauty, but for their value. Behind her, a painting that if we were to be more familiar with religious imagery, we see the figure of Jesus surrounded by others in the heaven, and it looks as if people are rising up. What this image is the Last Judgment. The Last Judgment, as defined in the New Testament of the Bible, is when Jesus will come down from heaven and all the people of earth will rise to be weighed. And if their souls are found to be heavy with sin, they will be cast down to hell. If their souls are found to be pure, then they will rise to heaven. So the Last Judgment is a judgment of your soul for eternity. Kind of like a set of scales. Now, it's interesting to think about this image, considering, oh, I like this, just so you can see how small it is. So it's not, again, it's a sacred image in the background, and this whole piece here, it's not very big. So it's not meant for a lot of people to see it at once. It's most likely a contemplative personal image, something in a house, something small enough to fit comfortably in a house. And then you would look upon it on an individual level. It's not even really for conversation as much as individual private contemplation. Okay. It's really curious is when I told you, do you remember I said that he married into a wealthy Catholic family and he converted to Catholicism? So this large piece back here, talking about weighing of the souls, weighing of one's worth. And this is a time of a religious crisis in Europe. And he is a Catholic in Protestant country. Is this perhaps a contemplative image of his own worth or choices in life? What about the idea that she's pregnant? Hmm. I like to bring this up in class because I always like to hear students' interpretations. In the past, some students have said things like maybe she's down on her luck and she's having to sell her jewelry. And so what we're seeing here is a value judgment because she was wealthy and now she's not. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Maybe that's it. Perhaps this is, other students will say, perhaps it's her thinking about her worth and her value as a mother to an unborn child, similar to that of the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus. Oh. So are we supposed to be making a connection between the Last Judgment and this connection of mother and child? Perhaps. The window right there. The window that's letting in this very soft light. Windows and light rays were often used in the discussion of the Virgin Mary and her pregnancy because she was a virgin and got pregnant without intercourse. People were debating as to how that would have happened. And one argument was that it was similar to how light can penetrate through a pane of glass without breaking the glass. Oh, okay. So light coming through this window and this curtain, and yet not breaking the glass or the curtain. And then we have a woman pregnant and judgment. Is this perhaps the beginning or the Annunciation? Is this supposed to be symbolic of the birth or the announcement of the birth of Jesus with the final judgment, the completion of the story? That's it. Maybe. Maybe that's it. I say maybe that's it because remember, these are ideas that you're supposed to contemplate as you look onto this piece. Interesting, interesting. Again, I can't tell you the answer because there really is no answer. It is simply there for your own thoughts, for your contemplation. In terms of its connection to skill, oh, look at this gorgeous use of light to give us these pop, pop, pop of that gold chain, these beautiful pearls, two different types of strands of pearls on these ribbon strings. Oh, the delicacy of her hand. Look at his control of light in that he's spilling in the light from the window onto her, and rather than washing her out against this gray wall, placing that Last Judgment there creates this beautiful contrast so that our eye follows the shape of her body and then is led to this larger idea of judgment. The composition is also imbalanced. Look, the figure stands on one side. There's a heaviness here. And think about this difficulty of balance. She's trying to find the balance in the scales. We try to live a balanced life. And here we have this composition where it's heavy on one side with the body of this woman, and yet he balances it with that heavy shadow on the other side. These compositions are so delicate, and that is another reason why people are such big fans of Vermeer.